Boise State Football. Is Boise State Football getting the respect that they have earned? So I guess my question to you in the comment section today is, what level of respect has Boise State earned? We've gone over this time and time again for weeks and weeks at a time, but it's finally here. The Mountain West Championship game between Boise State and UNLV. It's on the Smurf turf. It's in Boise, 6 o'clock on Fox, 38 degrees and clear. If Boise State loses the Mountain West Championship, do they belong in the college football playoff? Here's what I'm struggling to reconcile. If Boise State loses the Mountain West Championship game, they're out of the college football playoff. I think there's not math or a formula that keeps Boise State in the college football playoff if they lose this game. Okay, so if that is a given, how on earth are they getting a first-round bye if they win the Mountain West Championship? Nobody's talking about that, and I can't seem to get an answer to it because I don't believe that whether they win or not that they've earned a first-round bye. And as we're going to talk about in a few minutes here, I'm not convinced they're winning this game. Look at that number. It's a 4-point number on a 57.5-point over. I am not convinced they're going to win this game. If Boise State doesn't win this game, Jake, I don't see any way that they are in the college football playoff.
Well, and I just think that Boise State is such a, volatile team in this conversation. I mean, you have one sector of college football fan who obviously is a Boise State fan, Mountain West fan, who is just going to die on the hill. And then you have the other part of the room who is sitting here saying, hey, well, you haven't really played anybody and you lost the only team you played against. And then there's another section of the room that I think just doesn't give a damn about Boise State, because even if they were to win this game, and let's say they did get a first-round bye, and let's say everything was perfect for them, you're not winning a national championship at Boise State. You're not beating Georgia and Texas and these other teams. So the question that I think has to be sort of levied today is like, okay, how much does the Boise State conversation actually matter in the bigger picture? Because we've got commissioners left and right using Boise State as either a positive for their conference or a detriment to their conference. Yesterday, we'll probably play it again today, but Brett Yormark talking all about how Boise State shouldn't be ranked ahead of their conference champion. Obviously we've got, Gloria Navarez talking about this. You've got, Jim Phillips talking about it. Like, there's commissioners left and right talking about Boise State. And that's what comes to my mind is like, how much does Boise State and what they've done this year actually matter to the college football playoff? Is it good if they get the first round bye? Is it bad? To me, I think for the system overall and how much people want to talk about college football, it's probably a good thing for the conversation for them to go ahead and win this game and somehow get that first round bye. But I think ultimately it doesn't matter because you're not going to beat anybody in the college football playoff. And that's what I really struggle with.
Well, and I love Gloria Navarez. I think she does a great job as a commissioner, but she held a presser this week. And she said one of the most, I want to be careful. This is one of the most foolish things I've ever heard.
It's unfounded.
But what Gloria Navarez is doing her job here.
Yeah.
She is a PR person at this point. But there's not a chance in the world, if UNLV wins the Mountain West Championship, that they deserve a first round bye.
The idea that byes should be awarded based on anything other than their performance and ranking is unacceptable. We feel strongly the Mountain West champion, whoever wins, based on their body of work this season, will deserve a bye. If Boise State wins, the committee has already acknowledged that they are a 4 seed, and they would have defeated a number 20 UNLV. And depending on what happens out there in other champ games, they could be a 3 seed. If UNLV wins, they would have defeated a number 10 ranked Boise State on the road. Again, reiterating, Boise State has an 11-game home win streak. This is a much stronger performance than the winner of a Big 12 championship, which features 15 versus 16 ranked teams.
Wow.
Bro.
First of all, Glory out here like she's Mike Tyson throwing haymakers at the Big 12. There's not a chance in the world that UNLV, if they win the Mountain West Championship, should have a first-round bye. There's not a chance in the world that Boise State, if they win the Mountain West Championship, is more deserving than Arizona State or Iowa State. I understand why Gloria is saying it. I love her moxie. I love the attitude and the chutzpah that she used to say it. But that's just not the facts of the case. And I have a lot of respect for Gloria Navarez. She's completely wrong. I much more side with Brett Yormark on this.
The committee continues to show time and time again that they are paying attention to logos versus resumes. I've said that before. I want to say it again. And I say logos because they're concentrating on team logos and conference logos. Strength of schedule should matter. And wins against Power 4 opponents should matter. 74% of the Big 12 wins were against Power 4 opponents this season. Meanwhile, the group of 5 is 11-80. I want to say that again. 11-80 versus Power 4 teams this season. And in no way should a group of 5 champion be ranked above our champion. And I'm going to say that one more time. In no way should a group of 5 champion be ranked above our champion.
Say it again, Brett.
For the people in the back.
I mean, I think it is. I think that's exactly right. And I know we're a Big 12 show and we're an SEC show. Resume and strength of schedule, that has to matter at some point. And it's this question about, is Boise State being disrespected? No, they're not.
Yeah, that's what I struggle with. Everyone wants to say, oh, well, man, Boise State's a one-loss team. Haven't they earned respect? Well, yeah, on some level, I guess, because you're a one-loss team, potentially a two-loss team after tonight, if you lose this game. But what I struggle with is the makeup of those wins. And look, the first, defense that Boise State fan wants to go to is, oh, well, you don't like Ashton Jeanty, and this is a G5 problem. You're damn right it's a G5 problem. Jeanty's a perfectly fine running back. The guy's super capable, really good player, probably
100%.
the best running back in the country right now. Certainly playing the best football of any running back in the country right now, obviously. But the problem I have is we have no way, both from a numbers perspective or an eye test perspective, to say, yeah, against Arizona State, he would have 200 yards on the ground like he does against all the other crappy Mountain West teams. Against any other Big Ten team you want to look at or SEC team, like he'd be able to put up, a $130, $150. Like we don't have a way to legitimately say that. So the problem is that you lost the only opportunity you had to say, hey, I can do this and my team will win.
I think it is remarkable. And I guess this is just me. I think it is remarkable that we're looking at these conference championship lines. SMU and Clemson. Okay, I can get down with a 2-point line. And if SMU wins, they're in. I believe that they belong in. And I believe that in the ACC, they deserve a first-round bye. Should Boise be in? Yes, if they win the Mountain West. Do they deserve a bye over SMU? Well, they deserve a bye over SMU hell of a lot more than they deserve a bye over Arizona State or Iowa State.
Yeah. And that's the hard part with what Gloria said is that,
yes.
And again, I don't mean this to trash Gloria or disrespect her, but
I'm about to trash Gloria and disrespect her.
You seem a little bit out of touch with the realities of the college football playoff. Meaning, like, I think that's a perfect example of this. Like, you wanted to take a shot at the Big 12 because Brett Yormark took a shot at you
and did.
What?
And did. Yeah. Gloria didn't want to.
And did.
She did.
Yeah. And instead, what you should have done is you should have said, hey, a group of 5 team in SMU that got into the ACC for free, essentially, is about to go play for a conference championship. If they can beat P4 teams, so can we. I mean, hell, we're probably just as good as SMU is. If you look at our numbers and who we've played, and like that's the argument you should.
How
be
much
making.
of this is red assery and bitterness because of where the Big 12 wound up in expansion?
I mean, I think that's part of it. I also think that the Pac-12 situation probably plays into it a little bit.
But that's my point. Like, you look at the Pac-12 teams in the Big 12. You look at then what the remaining teams in the Pac-12 did to the Mountain West here, have them essentially tied up in litigation, right? You look at like SMU essentially buying their way into a power conference. I think this last round of expansion caused a lot of bitterness, and I think you are hearing commissioners vent on that. I have no problem with the PR tour that these commissioners are on. I talked about this yesterday.
They should be doing. No doubt.
Exactly right. I think they should be politicking for their constituents.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I don't have a problem with Gloria saying that.
Yeah.
I have a problem with people believing she's correct because it's simply not based in analytics or fact.
Well, and again, this is the other advantage that the SEC and the Big Ten have in the bigger picture. They don't have to talk because their teams are doing the talking for them. They don't have to wonder about first round buys and, seeding and, presence in the playoff. And I think that, the biggest issue I have with Boise State and this game tonight and this whole situation is you just don't have a way in the conversation to prove your value. Do I think that Jinty is one of the best players? Yes, I do. But I just think that Boise State, there's no getting away from the fact that this is a one-sided offense that plays unbalanced football, and their defense is not the greatest thing we've ever seen. Well,
and the real tragedy, not to be hyperbolic, but the real tragedy here is I think this whole conversation discounts Ashton Jinty. It's not a fluke that he's putting the numbers up he's putting up. It's not like he ran for 50 yards against Oregon. He has consistently dominated. But to your point, they don't throw the ball well, and they don't defend the pass well. And one of the reasons that I truly think UNLV is going to have a chance to win this game, it's going to be a very close game, is because UNLV is excellent against the run, and he struggled to be explosive. And he had a much better second half than first half against UNLV the first time around. I think UNLV wins this game because they pass the ball far better than Boise does.
And I just think that the thing that flies under the radar for the average football fan when they look at Jinty is, how a team is successful or unsuccessful when they run the ball as much as Boise State does. And this is my main point about Mountain West competition. My argument isn't that Mountain West competition just sucks and is terrible. Is it not as good as P4 competition? Well, of course not. Of course not. I don't even think that that's a fair comparison. But it's more that the Mountain West competition that Jinty plays against is not typically assignment sound and run defense. They're not typically, doing what they need to do to stop him. All they're doing is allowing him to get to the second level, and then he's able to shake guys. He's able to run through a lot of those defenders.
What I would say about Boise State and Ashton Jinty is, when your toughest stretch on your schedule is likely Washington State, Utah State, Hawaii, UNLV, because they don't have a 4-game stretch that's like, well, I don't know how we're going to win this game. Their Oregon loss was week 2. Their best win, well, it's probably at UNLV. Other than that, like, Utah State's not a good football team. Hawaii is 5-7. Like, I even look at, like, Nevada's the worst team in that league at 3-10 and 0-7. Who are you, Oak State? Like, I just can't find a way to say, man, that was impressive against a 5-7 Oregon State team. Or, man, that was really impressive, at the time against, what ended up being a decent Washington State team. Like, I can't find the stretch where I can say to myself, man, let me tell you something about Arizona State's schedule, where Arizona State struggles, right? You look at Arizona State's schedule and you say to yourself, man, Arizona State ended the season with at K-State, BYU, Arizona, who they trounced, and then they got to go and play Iowa State in Tarrant County. That stretch right there is more difficult than any stretch that UNLV or Boise State played at any time during the season.
Yeah.
Then you look at that they played an SEC team in Mississippi State. You look at that they played Utah. Look at the defenses that Arizona State went against. A Utah defense, a K-State defense, a BYU defense. Now they're going to face Iowa State. They played the best that the conference has to offer, which is exponentially better than anything that Ashton Jeanty and Boise State saw this year outside of Oregon.
Yep.
So you played Oregon and lost. Arizona State played Mississippi State and won. Okay, call that even. What about the rest of the schedule? Arizona State played an exponentially more difficult schedule than you did.
100%.
And I don't understand why, when you look at, hey, they lost to Cincinnati and Texas Tech, two not good football teams, in my opinion. But those are two Big 12 football teams. And if we really look at their wins, like winning in Manhattan, Kansas is not easy. That's a good win. And they did it comfortably. Beating BYU in what was a pretty good game, that's a number 14 BYU team you beat right there. You can't match that up to Boise State's schedule and say Boise State played anything like that or had any kind of stretch on that schedule that would have tested them.
Right.
Maybe that's why they're going to the new Pac-12. I don't know. But that doesn't matter today. I think Boise State is getting the respect that they have earned, which is not much in my opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think to say that UNLV should get a first round bye if they were to win this game is just outrageous.
Nobody believes that.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Sorry, Gloria. And again, I have mad respect for Gloria Navarro. She's a great commissioner.
Yeah.
She's saying what she has to say.
Yeah.
Nobody agrees with that. Nobody. There is nothing on that schedule that says UNLV has earned that. Yeah. All right, before we get to the full preview, I want to get back to our donations today because it is Giving Friday on the Monty Show. We ask you on Giving Fridays, send your donations to the Advocates on Venmo. Here's what the Advocates are doing. They're partnered with the same organization, Thanksgiving Heroes, Rob Adams, to raise $2,500 is what we're trying to raise for them as they try to feed families at the holidays. I think it speaks to the level of struggle in our communities. $50 for 50 families so they have meals at the holidays. Hit us on Venmo, Advocates donations, screenshot that, send it to Jake. On Instagram, SLC Jake, on Instagram. We're going to give away two $50 Amazon gift cards coming up at right about 8:15. So, I don't know, 2 hours or so, an hour and a half from right now. And all you have to do is donate. $5, $100. The comment section's probably going to win or lose. And now you're going to have tough time wrestling one of these away from Maury Alvarez, who says, Monty Show, this food is coming off the roller. Is this Maury's?
Yes.
But Maury also combined that with a QT roller as a picture. And I got to tell you, that's pretty fire. Now, Jake over here salivating because you can see there are taquitos. And Jake is a a roller food eating fool as he is admitted.
I've pontificated and stuff.
In like,
Yeah.
I have never eaten off of a roller, and I never will. And I'm proud of that. But Maury, that's right. Maury combining his $20 donation with his $15 donation and his other $15 donation, he's now given $50 today.
Yeah.
And he combined it all with roller food. I don't know how you beat that.
Yeah.
So Maury's in the lead right now for a gift card. Here it is right here. Send your Venmo donations to Jake on Instagram. Donate on Venmo, Advocates Donations. Then send a screenshot of that to Jake, SLC Jake. Every penny of that money goes to feed 50 families for the holidays. It's a box of food hand-delivered by Rob Adams and his crew to doorsteps in our community, feeding 50 families. That's a big step, man. He fed all those families at Thanksgiving, and now they're doing it again for Christmas and New Year's, you guys. It's a worthy cause. And if you don't have it, hey, thanks for watching the show. I'm not judging anybody who can't donate. I think we have talked about this for years on the show when we have gone out and done Sub for Santa, where people that watch the show have asked us to help them. We've delivered toys. We've delivered gift cards. This is working in the heart of our communities. It's a great cause. It's $50 for 50 families. Whether you have $5, whether you have $200, we ask you to make a donation on Venmo, Advocates Donations, and we'll give away two $50 Amazon gift cards. Now let's get to your comments. San Diego State Glenn, I'm not going to sing for you. I only sing for Mountain Mama. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Gloria, Gloria. Welcome to the nightmare. Jake is a roller food connoisseur. He is. And we all have to own our strengths and weaknesses. We do. Dan Davis, Boise has a winning record against Oregon and Georgia. Okay, cool.
Why does that matter though? How does that impact this year?
So many people want to live in the past and the Statue of Liberty and our blue turf, and none of that matters. Ward Manuel, for everything that he's not, Ward Manuel has said multiple times, it's about what you've done this year, your resume this year. And again, I just ask, if Boise State loses, are they in the college football playoff?
I don't know, man.
They're not.
I don't think you are.
They're out. Every formula says they're out. So I say, if you lose and you're out, then how on earth have you earned a bye?
Yeah,
with a win. That doesn't add up. Mike Chase, good morning to you. Mike Smith, Mountain Mama. Let that freak flag fly, Jake. You want late night meth food? You do you. I'm not judging. I am judging you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying not to do it.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I'll eat my oats in the morning and I'll have my purple sweet potatoes in the evening. And I know we've talked about this on the show before. Eating less after 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sleeping like a baby. Although every day in Hawaii last week, I had at least 8 hours of sleep. There was one night where I got 9 hours and 2 minutes.
I bet you felt good, huh?
9 hours and 2 minutes of sleep.
Yeah, I bet you felt good, huh?
Last night, 5 hours and 7 minutes. It's a pretty big difference.
Oh, dear.
Oh my. Getting up at 4 o'clock is not hard. Not hard. Yes, it is. That's a lie. It's very difficult. Because people said Boise State would not win those games in the past. Okay. But what does that matter if they get in or not in this year? We're talking about resume getting in or not getting in.
Yeah.
And again, I still think the biggest problem here is you're downgrading Ashton Jeanty as part of this conversation. And I don't believe we should do that.
Yeah.
I just don't. Welcome to the nightmare. Boise is no way should have a bye week over a P4. Strength of schedule is really important.
Yeah.
Nobody agrees with that, apparently.
Yeah, apparently not. And I just think that again, it's so clear. It's so funny how college football works. Like the people defending Boise State don't have a real great way to get over in the conversation. You'll always notice them referencing the past or referencing, something.
You don't
negative.
have a hammer.
Yeah, you don't have that thing that really, sets you apart.
Yeah.
So.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
100%. Let's get a couple more comments in here. West Virginia's vaunted defense would hold Boise to 0 points and Ginty to 0 yards. I believe that's true.
Yeah, man. Wow.
I'd have to go and look at the matchup man for man, Mike, but
having fun is the name of the game.
I believe every carry would be -5 yards against West Virginia.
Right.
West Virginia. Jay Chapman. They should sign or they should give Notre Dame the buy-in, pit Boise versus Arizona State in the first round, please.
Agreed.
I'm here for it. Because the only no, I'm not, Jay, you're not pulling me into a Notre Dame conversation today. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's just not going to happen. Kansas would beat Boise State. I think that'd be a really close game. Stadium guy James says money sent. Okay, let's see. Advocates donations. First day on the equipment. Here's our latest. Monty Show, just so you know, I started filling out my application yesterday for my demon at Bright Divinity School at TCU. This has to be James.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what a demon is.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
Bad part is I have to write a 4-page paper to demonstrate that I can write at a doctoral level. So this is why you've been doing all the pedo priest research. This is why you've been doing all the pedo researching. This is why. James, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Congratulations. I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, good luck on the paper.
On your efforts to get into the Bright Divinity School at Texas Christian University.
Will Gundy still have a job by the time you're done writing that paper?
Why? Don't. Please. Please. If you're an Oak State fan and you watch Bronco Mendenhall go to Utah State yesterday.
Yeah.
Do they tighten up to your groin a little bit more at that point? When Utah State, who's mired in an ugly scandal around sexual assault, is able to pry Bronco Mendenhall out of New Mexico, Utah State hires who I think is one of the very, very elite human beings on this planet. What Bronco Mendenhall, his wife, and his family are about is the stuff of legends.
Mm-hmm.
Bronco Mendenhall is as good gets. He's a good man. Did I mention he also wins a lot of football games? The idea, the ultimate irony. Any BYU fan, you will probably hate me for this. I'd like to congratulate Bronco Mendenhall on finally getting into the Pac-12. Congratulations, Bronco. Bronco Mendenhall finally got into they wanted to BYU when he was the Pac-12 at BYU. In BYU, the Pac-12 was like, nah, bro. He got into the Pac-12. Congratulations, Bronco.
Nice job.
That is about the best hire in the last 5 years. You're scandal-ridden. We have accused and terminated people here for not properly reporting sexual assault.
Right.
Who are we going to hire to be our coach? How about Bronco Mendenhall? He's not coming here. Au contraire. Did I mention that Utah hired Jason Beck to be their offensive coordinator? You want to talk about a monster hire? Does anybody know who Jason Beck is? Jason Beck is the offensive coordinator with Bronco at New Mexico. And I'd remind you that he had one of the best offenses in the country and one of the most productive quarterbacks in the country. That quarterback's in the portal. Jason Beck's going to Utah as the offensive coordinator. Why is this a monster hire? Well, because Ben Arbuckle told you to pound sand and went to Oklahoma. Okay. Well, we didn't get Arbuckle. What are we going to do? How about we find somebody who runs an offense that you, Kyle Whittingham, have never had and don't want? Apparently, that's not true anymore. Let's go get a slingshot of an offense. Let's get Jason Beck and his world-beating quarterback, bring them to Salt Lake City, and have a pass-first aggressive style play calling. So you lost on Arbuckle, and you ended up with a better fit, a guy who coached at BYU, knows the high school system and the pipeline in Utah, which is massively important, has shown you he can recruit, has shown you he can develop quarterbacks, and has shown you that he runs a prolific offense. Yesterday was a very good day for football in the state of Utah.
100%.
I mean, if there's a better hire for Utah State, I don't know who that would be. If there's a better OC hire for Utah, I don't know who that would be. My God. Football in the state of Utah, good night. And then I point back to Oak State and I say, who's your Jason Beck, friends? Who's your Huckleberry? Who's going to be your offensive and your defensive coordinator? Because the guys you want are getting taken quick. And I know you want somebody related to the program, and we get it. What you should want is the best offensive coordinator available, and damn, I think you got that.
Yeah.
I told you about today. Gundy takes a pay cut to bring in a new OC in DC. P.S. Demon stands for Doctor of Ministry.
A demon.
So does this mean I can't call you the minister of pimp daddiness anymore? I've never called you that until now. If Mike Gundy takes a pay cut, he's on the clock, because any coach that takes a pay cut, you're a lame duck coach.
Yeah.
You're a lame duck coach. Let's see what happens, because there is that Board of Regents meeting today in Stillwater. And if you, as the Board of Regents, give your football coach a pay cut, it should be to fire him.
Yeah.
That's not something where you're like, oh, it took a pay cut. Tip of the cap there, Gundy. Or excuse me, tip of the visor there, Gundy. No. Am I wrong? Like, in the comment section, am I wrong that a coach taking a pay cut to better afford offensive and defensive coordinators when you have more money than God incarnate, or excuse me, when you have more money than the pimp daddy of ministry? Do you know how much money and assets you have at Oak State, and you're making Gundy take a pay cut to afford coordinators? Yeah, let me go there. Come on. You got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. Dan Davis, good morning. What's the team that Boise lost to ranked? How did they lose that game? What was the score? Oh, and where did they play? Well, we've talked about this. You lost on the road to arguably the number one team in the country in week 2. The problem is you don't have a quality win since then. It's not that losing to Oregon should be something of a black mark for a G5 team. It shouldn't be. The problem is you don't have a win after that.
Yeah, there's no get back.
You don't. It's what I say about Notre Dame being a paper champion. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. But when did they do that? Early in the season. And they beat Army. They beat an upstart Navy. They beat USC. Like, at least they have notable wins. Does Boise have a notable win? Is UNLV in Las Vegas a notable win? I'm going to have to say it's not probably a notable win.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. And I again, if you've watched this show at all, you know I've said all season long, I love Ashton Jeanty. Playing at Boise State's bad for him because it's probably going to cost him the Heisman Trophy. If he had done that at Oregon, the guy's a Heisman Trophy winner.
100%.
There's not even a conversation. The guy's a Heisman Trophy winner.
The problem is I'm not sure that anyone believes he would do it at Oregon.
I think that's a big question.
That's the problem.
And more to the point, Travis Hunter did it at Jackson State, and then what did he do? He did it against a really good schedule at Colorado for 2 years in a row. So it's not a fluke, and I think he's going to win the Heisman. Fat Jesus. Who should win the Heisman every day on the show. Jake's gently used Trump shoes, size 7.
And it's very powerful.
Has anybody on this show bought Trump's shoes? Fat Jesus, did you buy Trump's shoes? Bro, if you did and you didn't send a picture, I am disappointed.
Yeah, you got to, come on. You got to show us what you got there, dude.
Come on. So now we're just short of $500 on the show. Come on, let's go. Keep going. Hit the advocates on Venmo. Advocates donations. Advocates donations. We're trying to raise $2,500 today and next Friday. Let's get half of that today. Let's get in its volume of donations. $5 is absolutely acceptable.
Yeah.
$200 is absolutely acceptable. $20, $50, $5. It doesn't matter. Every penny counts. We'd love to raise $2,500. $50 for 50 families to have a meal at the holidays is life-changing, difference-making. Rob's going to talk about it again coming up in 50 minutes. Rob Adams will join us. He's the one spearheading this. Can you imagine what it's like as a kid not knowing that you're going to have a meal on the holidays? Rob lived that, which is why he's so passionate about it now. Thank you, Fat Jesus, for the donation. Let's see. Who else is in the comments? Maury Alvarez, a member for 23 months. Maury, hope you and the fam are well. Boise State should be a win or you're out. I agree.
Yeah.
And I think they are. Boise would win the Big 12. They wouldn't, and here's why. And I've heard this 1,000 times. Boise doesn't defend or throw the ball at a level required to win this conference, the Big 12. I've heard this repeatedly. Show me the offense in this league. Arizona State. Does Arizona State pass the football? Yeah, they have one of the best young quarterbacks in the country. Do they run the football? Exceptionally well. But what else do? They beat your ass in defense. They are physical. Do you guys not understand who the head coach at Arizona State is?
Bro, you don't want that smoke, man.
Do you not understand when we're talking about motivators? Oh, please hear it. You want to know who the head coach at Arizona State is?
Same thing we said earlier in the week. Twist the knife. We have yet to finish the motherfucking game. We've yet to do that all year. We've done the same. Finish the motherfucking game. Come on. With a vengeance. If we think we are who I think we are, a team that can compete for championships, we come out in the second half and we twist the knife. No pity for the motherfucking kitty.
Let's go. Give me a helmet and shoulder pads. Are you out of your mind? Dilly, my guy.
Yeah,
I love Kenny Dillingham, the Fighting Dillinghams.
Dilly.
Please put Arizona State and Boise State on the field. That doesn't mean that Ashton Ginty's going to have a bad game.
It's not about hating on Ginty.
No.
I just think that Arizona State's a better team. Like the Big 12 has better talent to offer. Like
you're crazy if you think Boise State. Let's get into it. UNLV, Boise State, Smurf Turf tonight, 6:00, Fox. What's the biggest issues? What are the biggest issues facing Boise in this game? Familiarity breeds contempt. UNLV knows you intimately well. You are who you are. You don't throw the ball well. They cover the pass well. You ran the ball far less effectively against UNLV than any other opponent, including Oregon. UNLV is led by an exquisite defensive mind as their head coach. And it's really difficult to beat the same team twice in the same year, especially at a championship level. And Odom has UNLV playing at an exceptional level right now. That's a good football team. That's a 10-win football team. And when you look at the way that UNLV and Boise State have built their seasons, they're not very different. You look at the fact that UNLV scheduled Houston, K-State, both in the first 3 weeks of the season, and they won both those games. Now, was Houston or K-State good at that point? They were not. But you can only play who's in front of you, a la Oregon, who beat Boise State in a very close game, right? They won those two games. They also scheduled Syracuse. So, wait, you're telling me that they have 3 power programs on their schedule? They do. They lost to Syracuse 44-41 in a shootout. And their other loss was Boise State, 29-24 in Las Vegas. That's not great that you lost both your games at home. But you have good wins over power programs. And this team has not lost since that Boise State game. And what they've done at UNLV is they have pointed themselves at Boise State now for the last 6 weeks. We're getting ready to play that game. So let's go boot heel Hawaii. Let's go pound San Diego State. Let's go pound San Jose State. Let's go pound Nevada. And I'd remind you, that game at Hawaii is one of the more difficult road trips you have to face. And was that game close? It was. Timmy Chang and the boys couldn't get the job done. UNLV did. And UNLV is 10-2, 6-1 in conference, and they've got a chance at redemption tonight. And if you're a Boise fan, here's what should scare you about this game. Boise State does not throw the football well. And it's one of those things where UNLV is third in the nation with 8 turnovers spread out over a wide span. They don't commit penalties. They just simply do not commit penalties.
Right.
They have the 4th best rushing attack in the country. And they're not going to beat themselves. So let me get this right. You don't pass the ball well, UNLV does. You run the ball really well, and UNLV does. This is going to be an exceptionally close game. It's -4 for a reason. If you're betting this game tonight, you're taking UNLV in the points.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking UNLV in the points for certain. I love UNLV in this matchup because I just think stylistically, where we are at this point of the season, Boise State's going to have to throw themselves to win, and I don't think you can do it against that defense.
Yeah, well, and I just think that, the other side of it too is like these games typically just come down to in-game execution. Like I'm a big believer in championship games. It's a little bit different just with regular season. Like you can look at trends and you can look at, like, hey, who's playing better football here or there? It's like Kansas, right? Like beginning of the year, Kansas wasn't playing well, but then they really picked it up on the back half of the schedule, and you can kind of take that into account and everything. With this game, I think this is going to be obviously a super close game, but the thing that I feel like is really tough to measure in this game is the fact that it's a home game for Boise State, and there's all this pressure on them. I'm a big believer and buyer in the idea of what people have been talking about with, hey, UNLV is going to be loose. UNLV has nothing to lose here. UNLV is a team that kind of to what you were saying, like, hey, you lost to Boise State the first time. You know what you're going to be looking for in this game. You understand you're on the road. You're the underdog. Like you're just playing loose. You don't. Yep. You're not out here trying to. You're not out here losing your life in the college football playoff if you lose this game. Now, if you win, great. You may get rewarded with that. But the point just is that Boise State's got this mountain of pressure on them, and UNLV does not. And to me, I think there's a real good chance that maybe there's an early in the game turnover out of Boise State. Maybe, a fumble here, fumble there, whatever. And I'm not even saying that's Jincy. Maybe it's a screen pass, your guy fumbles it. I just think that there's a higher chance in this particular game, in this particular environment, with the pressures that are on Boise State, for them to make mistakes early in this one that would change the course of the game. And that's what I'm nervous about for Boise State. Now, ultimately, is Jincy going to have a huge game? Probably. I mean, they held him to 3.9 yards a carry last time. I highly doubt you're going to do that again. I'd be a little bit surprised by that, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I would be surprised. I think that Boise State knows that they got it. Boise State knows as a team, as an offense, you have to have a 200-yard game out of Jincy to secure your fate.
You're not getting 200 yards on this defense at UNLV.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong about that, but what I'm saying is that that's what they're going to try to do. And in these environments, what do teams do? They go out and they try to play to the best of their ability in their strengths on
at
offense
home
and defense.
On the turf in Boise.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah.
38 degrees.
Yeah.
Here's my point. Haj Malik Williams is a ball control guy.
Uh-huh.
Dual threat. Good, not great thrower. Only completes 64% of his passes. He's a dominant force on the ground. I don't think they'll have possession enough for Jincy to run for 200 yards. And I think this UNLV defense has seen him now. And you're not changing your stripes at this point, Tiger. This is who Boise State is.
Well, and if you're UNLV, are you not just playing single high safety most of this game? Are you not forcing them to pass, daring them to pass almost?
Oh, I think you're daring them to pass. There's no doubt about that. My biggest question is, how does UNLV deal with the cold? Is the cold weather a factor? I don't think it'll be, because there's not going to be snow. There's not going to be rain. It's going to be crisp and cold.
Yeah.
I think here's my question. Does Haj Malik Williams break off a 30-plus yard touchdown run? If he does that, UNLV wins the game. If he does that, you're in real trouble, because then Boise's going to have to play closer to the line of scrimmage. The other question I have is, does Boise respect the run game at UNLV? They're running for over 200 yards a game. And my question is, what does UNLV do to bring Boise closer to the line? You run the football. And I think if somebody in this game can find explosive plays, Ashton Ginty.
Yeah.
If he breaks off a 35, 40, 50-yard run for a touchdown, Boise's going to win the game. I can't see that happening. You've seen this cat once this year already. You know him. You know how they play. You know what it feels like to run into Boise State, face mask to face mask. This defense wants you. This defense is hunting you. I don't think UNLV's at all intimidated by the atmosphere in Boise. I think Odom does a great job getting his team ready to go. I got to believe that this is a high-scoring game, meaning I think that it's going to go over the number. I think this is a 31-24 UNLV win.
Yeah, I think, man, that's an ass-kicking. 31-24.
That's a possession.
Yeah, but that would be, dude, that's a big spread on the road. For to me, I don't know. It's hard for me. I'm picking UNLV to win this game, but I don't have a real great feel or confidence level in how much they're going to win by. I mean, it's
a coin flip who wins this game.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily see a field goal kind of game. I could see a 10-point win for UNLV. Honest to God, I think there's a decent chance you will see mistakes out of Boise State early in this game because of the pressure of the moment. That hey, we have to win this game if we want to secure our spot in the college football playoff. And to do that, we're not going to change our stripes as an offense. We're not all of a sudden going to be throwing the rock all over the field and bombing it down the field. We're going to be running the football, and it's just going to be a matter of, can the offensive line win their matchup? Because if Ginty gets to the second level consistently, you're going to be in trouble. But if you're holding him, if you're getting to him 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, you're going to have success. So I would say a safe play is probably a win, a cover, and an under for UNLV, because there's going to be so much running in this game. I think it's going to be tough.
Madsen has to win this game for Boise. And here's the stat that scares you. With Maddox Madsen, they average 7.7 yards of completion.
Mm-hmm.
When they play teams that give up more than 7.7 yards per completion, they win. And they win comfortably. There's 2 teams that they've played who give up less than that. You know who I'm going to say. It's Oregon, and it's UNLV, who gives up 6.3 yards of completion. And those are their 2 closest games. And Maddox Madsen was not able to deliver wins for them in those 2 games. Ashton Ginty had to have a big performance in the second half to keep them in the Oregon game and to beat UNLV. Because remember, UNLV shut him down in the first half. He's got to find that moment of magic, Ginty, in the second half. He's got to find it. But Maddox Madsen has to be clean in this game. Cannot turn the football over. Because, again, UNLV is not going to beat themselves. Williams doesn't turn the football over, and they don't have 10 penalties a game.
Right.
So you're going to have to really find a way to and again, I'm not trying to over-dramatize it. You're going to have to force UNLV to do things that they don't normally do, to make mistakes they don't normally make. And Barry Odom's teams don't do that. They never have. They're well prepared.
Yeah.
They're well coached. They're fundamental at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, they're mentally in the right place. I mean, that's the thing that stands out to me with Barry and his teams is you look at all the things he said this week. The energy coming out of that team is put the ball anywhere, any line of scrimmage you want.
Yeah,
and we'll show up. And I think that I'm just telling you, and I don't know how to measure it or put it in terms of point spreads or touchdowns or field goals, but I'm telling you, this dynamic of UNLV having nothing to lose, playing free football, playing fast, going in there trying to wreck a season versus Boise State playing tight with pressure, I think that is what will let us know what kind of team Boise State is. If Boise State comes out and they look loose and they're playing well, then I think they're going to have a good night. But if they come out and they look tense and they're not running well and they're having to kind of get into the game a little bit, then I think this game is going to be chaos.
Okay. Speaking of chaos.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Zayden Schoenhofer.
First of all.
And I hope I'm getting that right. Zayden Schoenhofer.
Never heard of you. Appreciate you listening.
You're amazing. $200. Group of 5 teams should not get a bye, period. I don't Venmo. Please pass along. Absolutely.
Stay hard.
I really appreciate that. $200. I believe we are now well over $500.
Yeah, we have to do the math again.